Busy, 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 busy. Oh my god. Okay, so we're gonna be busy. We're gonna do this thing, and I'm just gonna tell you all what's going on. So, first off, the content cycle of what's been happening for the Academy. I see a thing, I like it. Oh, this relates to this project, so I share it. I don't mean to spam your guys' feeds with the shit I'm sharing. This is all mostly notes for later, right? Because this is a social environment. Facebook is a social community. I'm just trying to be social so far, right? I'm not trying to do bullshit. On the back end of what I'm working on, right? There's the stuff I'm talking about, what I'm doing with the community and what I'm doing with Mike and these kinds of things, right? On Monday begins a mastermind that I'm working with a couple of folks on, so that way we structure their books, their projects, what have you, in a faster way for release, so that way we can get all this shit done faster, right? But I don't know how to do that just yet alone, right? With two people in a group is different than if I'm working with just a challenge that I'm just mass emailing to people, right? And it's like, here, this is a thing, you can play with it, do it if you don't want to. Like, do it if you want to, don't do it, whatever, I don't care. Like, go have fun. It's a challenge. This is a thing that once you go through it, you will become a different person on the outside, right? My first challenges, I could barely stand for like a week afterwards. They took so much out of me. After yesterday, I overslept all my meetings. Like, all of my shit is like wacky today. Like, I hurt all over. Like, that was an experience. Like, it's a total body shift when you run a challenge, right? That's why I love doing them so fucking much. It's like, challenges are like the test of method. You're testing a product in your small groups, you're testing your coaching, you're testing all of these things in these programs, right? You run a challenge for 5 days, can you structure it in a way that it can become a course later, right? And now there's an intentional project that I've got coming up that my intentions are to partner with Daniel Levis from the Science of Client Getting. Straight up. He built a system that I had been dreaming about that I want to integrate with the Academy method. So all of those long and boring videos that I've been putting out all over the internet, right? Well, that's just, where am I putting that information that I think can handle the platform that varies it enough so if one platform decides to kick off my account, then I'm not out entirely everywhere, right? But I've got backups. Like, I've got a couple of Google folders. I got a couple of these things over here. Like, there's some Vimeo stuff. Like, it's like scattering my assets in a bunch of different banks, right? And that's how I look at social media platforms. It's like a bank. What do you put into it? How do you make something worth something so much that the longevity of it would hopefully reach the administrators of the softwares in order to be like, hey, let's do these things too. Let's make life easier in certain ways, right? And so to see people like Russell Brunson, who have created ClickFunnels 2.0, which I'm in fucking love with, by the way. Like, I'm going to bang out this funnel. Like, this video will be part of that video set, right? Because it establishes that you can adapt to a technology as quickly as you're able if you understand the premise on which it was built, right? So I had to spend 6 months learning ClickFunnels with Russell and all of these things, and I just lost my shit. It's like, it's too techy. And now there's 2.0, right? And the thing I love about webinars and the thing I like about those opportunities is those are a great teaching environment if you have a single thing to learn, right? Jason Fladlin's thing that he did on dopamine or his prosperity algorithm. I love those because those are nice, robust, and in-depth, right? But there's something that can be made more from those moments, right? There's a way that we can use those and structure those so that way that information becomes relevant. And when you're learning about willpower, you have to learn about dopamine. So the only place to really get a really good teaching on what dopamine is to begin the conversation with a 45-minute video from a dude who's spent years studying, so that it becomes a conversation that you can have with other experts in the field along your journey. Hey, I was watching Jason's thing. Did you do this over here? All right? What if you found out about it and then you become that point of source? You become that point of new information. And this becomes an endless cycle of growth and development. This isn't about content. This is about relationships. This isn't about sales. This is about life. This isn't about one spiritual path. It's about the unification of all peoples. Because if you understand what you're doing over here, how does it apply? Why is it relevant? How is it necessary? All of that shit becomes second. That becomes whatever, right? And so what I'm proposing to you is that you join in my urban fellowship program, okay? I'm running an international project. I'm calling it the International Fellowship, right? The IF project. But in that IF project, there's the Influencer Academy. And so to get people to do their influence and to learn how to use it and to work with it, you can study people like Dan Fleischman. You know, you can study people in the field doing the influencer thing, and then you can have access to them, right? It's a doorway and it's access. And so one of the fun things about putting business and spirituality on its head is I've taught on the magic of business for years. 3 years publicly, right? Free to the groups, all that stuff, right? But now I'm doing business in a different way. Now I'm taking all of the successes that have been in a social environment online and I'm putting them into form, right? And so what does that mean? That means there is going to be a new company, a new program built under my LLC, and I'm calling it the First Order of Business. And so for $1, you can join. Get access to these groups. Get access to this information in advance, before it's shiny and packaged. You know, Jason calls it the brown paper bag approach. Here is everything you could possibly want in a paper sack. Deal with it being in a paper sack, and I'll make it pretty for you later. But you're going to have to pay for it later, because I'm going to have to form these relationships. I'm going to have to work on developing all of these contacts and keeping them on the top of my plate so that it becomes that next step. So that I already know what I'm doing and where I'm doing it simultaneously as I'm actually doing something else that ties back into at least 4 other projects that I have on deck right now. Right? I'm trying to partner with Ken and his mobile studio. Right? I want to help him bring that into the country so that influencers can get their stuff presented not just in a really good way like with Gordon, or with the opportunities to overcome those initial stages with Pete. And then to be able to prepare what you need to do to be inside the mind of a meeting planner. To know what it's like on the inside of the industry. To listen to Angelique Ruers about the consulting businesses and what it takes and what she's observed in the field as the best. You know, Bold House is the best consulting firm on the planet, right? I'm not trying to be a consulting firm. I'm trying to be sorcery, education, information, right? As it relates to the spiritual practice through Mike Williams, right? And Keith Swift. Those guys got it right. Keith is now opening up international business in retail establishments internationally. 3 in Canada and so far 2 in Europe, right? And so preparing an infrastructure of training, of business, of resource, so that people that are in the business community are familiar with Keith and what he offers and how connected he is to his ancestors and how connected all of the things are in a tradition. He's a traditions guy. There's stuff he knows I will not know because I'm not allowed in those traditions. And so having access to the foundations of understanding, when I say these people are great at what they do, they are literally what they do, right? And as people transform themselves into becoming these extensions, right, whatever their path of transformation is, it isn't about, oh my God, I have to bow down and be reverent of these things. I have to be afraid of these things. You know, I read these books of mythology, I read these books of stories and mythos and lore and all this stuff, right? I'm not looking for spiritual reinforcement. I know my path. I know what I'm on. I know what I'm doing. I know because I'm on it. Whatever day happens to be the day of I wake up, I'm here. What am I doing? Like, what's the first like this? I still have calls I still have to get back to because my email gets blown up and it's like this stuff works, guys. It's not a sales technique. It's not. It is just this is the thing. This is what I'm doing. Hey, these notes are cool. If you want to be part of it, it's time to pay. If you know what I'm doing, if you've seen what I'm up to, it's time to cut the shit, pony up a buck, hit the button, and I'll see you over there. Alright?